Hello and welcome to the Madison podcast. I am Madison's very own Ben Lavender, also known as New York's favorite British mortgage broker. Today we have Realtor extraordinaire, Mr. Sir Knighted, Mr. Matthew Martin.
How you doing, everybody? It's your true indeed Realtor associated with Keller Williams Realty at Greater Nassau, and here to speak some peace.
Yes, you're here to educate the masses
Yes, sir.
on how to do business in an efficient, professional, and awesome manner. So we'll talk about everything and kind of everything. So the way that we like to start these podcasts off, as I mentioned before when you came in, is kind of like do a little intro about yourself. Tell the people
Okay.
how'd you get into the business, what attracted you to real estate, or if that was even the case. For some people, it was just like a freak accident. They ended up in it. And,
Right.
yeah.
Well, mine was kind of similar. I have an associate of mine who happened to be a real estate investor. And at that time, I didn't know what he did for a living. All I know is I saw the somewhat, quote unquote, lavish living.
Gotcha.
And at that point in time, I needed some funds. So I'm the type of person I ask questions, And
How long ago was this?
This was about 8 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Wow.
he said to me very, very simply, he said, bro, get your real estate license. Next thing you know, I started working with they had a small group of investors. I would do a little bit of wholesaling, finding distressed properties and distressed sellers for them. I did a couple of my first investment deals, and they essentially gave me the listing back.
As they
And
should.
That's how I started. And then, I ventured over to, I expanded my horizons. I ventured over to Keller Williams, where I learned a vast majority of different things about the industry, and it's helped me a lot. All through the while, I also work for the Incorporated Village of Hempstead, Department of Public Works. So I fix potholes, plow snow, cut grass. I do everything.
But with that said, I mean, there are more potholes for you guys to fix. I mean,
don't start with me.
Otherwise, we got freaking Domino's out here fixing everyone's potholes. Is that even like allowed, by the way? Just a random company can fix potholes in the street?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, somebody would definitely be standing outside clapping if that was the case, but who wants to do it?
Yeah.
I enjoy it, but I don't enjoy it. It's like a catch-22.
Well, it's a real public service, or I would even say it's a Jewish saying, it's a mitzvah. It's a good deed.
Yes, sir.
That you're doing. True indeed. It goes with that too.
Yes, sir.
So I'm curious, Matt, because I didn't even realize that you did wholesaling at a point. Like, how did you even go about doing that? Because I feel as well, especially like you see on social media, TikTok, Reels,
so
like,
easy.
wholesaling, get into it. It's so easy. You make 10 grand. Yeah. How did you even approach it? Because it's not easy, especially I feel like to start off in wholesaling.
Yes.
As opposed to being a realtor.
To be honest, it's just about making relationships, just like everything else. Especially in our industry, relationships is key. I got in touch with a couple of real estate agents that solely dealt with REOs, which is a foreclosure and short sales. And within 4 years, I only did 2 wholesale deals. So it's not like I was killing it.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult because it's a competitive market. Everyone's internet educated, and there are more investors out there than you and I know.
Yeah.
So getting the investors that I was working with, the accepted offer was the issue. So we got 2 of those, and luckily I survived those 4 years with 2 deals. So.
But lucrative, I imagine.
Yes.
But a lot of work from start to finish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you find that, I feel like it's specific to New York because business here generally is slower compared to other states. You think that had something to do with it, or was just like the investors and the owners?
That's a good question. I really think it's just a matter of who you are. Me starting off, me getting that relationship with that one real estate agent who I just clicked with him. That's what helped me out. But a lot of times it's who you know, who you're comfortable with, who's cool with you, that, they'll kind of give you the quote unquote inside scoop on certain properties. So it's just building those relationships once again.
Which takes time.
Exactly.
So it's all about relationships in this business, which
Yes,
you
sir.
and I know very, very well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool, man. So what are you up to these days? What are you doing in business? What's new for you? What's working? What's not working?
Still, I'm a work in progress. It's like, as they say, God is not through with me yet.
Yeah.
So I am constantly, number one, I think being an entrepreneur, being a real estate agent in general, is about knowing that you always can improve. So while working a full-time job, I'm definitely looking to scale up my business. So I'm just putting a couple of things in place to be more on the listing side of the business. For those who don't understand, that's the agent representing the seller instead of the agent representing the buyer. Of course, I do both. I facilitate the process for buyers and sellers as well. But I have a couple of people that are working alongside me, so doing a little bit of training and getting a little bit of assistance.
Met the team, good team, good people.
Yep.
Good energy.
That was a good dinner too, man.
Oh,
Opus, Opus Steakhouse.
we love Madison. We love Opus. It's like the only place we go.
Man. I went back.
Yeah, I saw you. I was like 3 days later on your Insta feed. I was like, okay, he must have liked it.
It was the crispy rice.
Oh, that crispy rice is freaking amazing. This is great stuff to chop up too, Chris, because we're gonna send this to Opus and like ask for royalties. Fucking Opus. Yeah, they're amazing. That was funny. That was really funny. But we'll go back.
Definitely.
We'll do more. What I want you to touch on too, Matt, is the what we were talking about before on social media and how it portrays kind of like a false narrative, or false reality as to like how easy the real estate business is.
I think that because I think I could be guilty of it as well.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you are running a business, you don't necessarily want your potential clientele to see any downfalls from your business. So
that's a good point.
A lot of us, and I speak for a large mass of entrepreneurs and real estate agents, we don't really want to make that video and say, hey, contract fell through, deal's not going, it takes some courage to do that.
Yeah.
But it happens. And the reality is you'll see me post under contract, but I don't really tell the exact story of how it, how much of a struggle it was to get there. It could be a little difficult. And I think that we all are guilty of making it look so glamorous and easy and simple. But there's a lot of real estate transactions have a lot of different intricacies that most people wouldn't know are there. And we're talking about things as far as title search.
Yeah.
Maybe someone's financial file, which at Madison, we don't have to deal with that because your pre-approval is rock solid. All right.
You heard it here.
It's rock solid. But, people will be people.
And something, as you were talking, I was just thinking like, in the business, loan officers are guilty of this as well. It's like only showing the positive, CTC in 3 days, lowest rate, blah, 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 with the best. But what I also see people do, maybe not so much in the real estate space, but just on social in general, is doing the opposite, is kind of being manipulative and being too real.
Okay.
It's when you can kind of, when someone does, what you call it, they call it a vulnerable post. Vulnerable post, I'm being vulnerable here. And the vulnerability is truly bullshit, right? Because it's just like a way for them to expose themselves in like a safe manner. But don't get me wrong, there are people that are genuinely vulnerable, but like the other side to that is like, I feel like it goes in cycles on social media of like ups, everyone shows the best. And then when everyone is doing that, people go the opposite way. Because if everyone is doing the same type of content, it doesn't hit the same way, right? Because it's saturated. So then people go the opposite way and are like, okay, I'm going to be fake humble, or I'm going to be fake real and like show all these problems and like make myself cry on social media. Like I don't understand like when people cry on social media and their first
who's done that?
Oh, tons of people.
Really?
Tons, I see it on social all the time. Maybe not in our business, but just people in general. It's like, but like, why would you think I'm crying right now? This is a great time for me to record myself. That doesn't make any sense. It is bizarre.
We are living in a world that requires so much attention. We require so much attention. The funny thing is,
as individuals,
yes, just based on culture and society, it's kind of like a standard of you didn't get enough attention this month.
Yeah,
do something crazy. I've never been that type of person, so I've never been the one to stop a fun moment and take a selfie. Yeah. Think about taking my phone out to capture a moment. That's more so my significant other. She's always got the phone handy.
Yeah, it's usually the way it goes.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with it, but at the same token, like the society has become showing how much of life you're enjoying as opposed to actually enjoying the life.
Being in the moment.
But I will say there's only one, not only one, but there's one good thing that has come of it, is that experiences, just whatever the experience is, going to a museum, going skydiving, doing something crazy, have become almost equivalent to material items because you can capture them and you can leverage them to show how awesome you are. Right. So I don't know the statistics, but I imagine like people spend a lot more money these days on experiences as opposed to like luxury items compared to 10 to 15 years ago, because you can show those luxury things, well, not luxury, sorry. You could show those experiences through social media.
Makes sense.
Right. So I
There is
think
a
that's
balance.
actually a good thing. I don't think the idea of showing everything off is a good idea, but I do think that that's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah.
At least people go and experience different things in life.
It brings a balance. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
That makes sense.
and you have to have some balance.
Yes.
Well, you
in
should.
everything. In everything.
You should.
You know, what do they say? All work and no play makes Tom a dull boy or something like that?
Something like that.
Something
Sounds
like that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got to mix it. You got to have balance. And, you know, in our business, I find as well, like it's a tough business.
Yes.
It's stressful. So on that subject, the past 2 years have been very interesting. Right.
Yes.
So how has business been different for you over the past 2 years compared to like pre-COVID?
I feel like, especially with interest rates dropping the way they were, of course, we're in a different time right now. I had a surplus of buyer clients. Everyone wanted to buy, and as I was standing on open house lines with them, you saw everyone else that wanted to buy, and that's essentially what a lot of people believe that this wave of inventory flying off the shelf was the interest rates. You may have some other opinion on that, but you know, I did a lot of buyer side transactions. You know, and I myself, I really enjoy doing the buyer side. I really do. There's a certain level of empathy that has to come there with someone who's looking to purchase their first or second home.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm just the type of person that really enjoys taking them through that process and being proud of them holding their keys and, you know, actually reaching that milestone. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of that.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree, and I mean we see it as, you know, as we've worked together. Like you actually care and you genuinely enjoy it,
Yes.
which is, I wouldn't say that it's totally rare, but like I can see your passion for the business,
Thank
and the clients experience that as well. It's a huge deal to buy a house, right? To us, after we do it for a while, we kind of like, okay, we get it. You know, it's like we help, but we have to maintain the same sense of enthusiasm for their
Morale.
sake as well. So, but on the note of the rates being low, driving up the demand, that definitely had something to do with it. I personally think it was just that people were stuck in their homes for so long,
And they
and
wanted
when you're just
space.
looking at the same box over and over again, you're just like, I need something new or I need something bigger. That's I think that was the main thing, because otherwise, you know, you're fine. But then people were like, okay, now I need a working space, I need a backyard because we can't go anywhere, and now that life is going back kind of to normal, it will be interesting to see how that plays out. So, what do you think is next for the business and the industry?
I definitely think you're still going to see a shortage of inventory for a while. I do think we're going to see some prices decrease because buyers, at the end of the day, they may come to a point where, okay, interest rates are balancing out. I don't want to offer as much as I was. There's going to be a little bit of emotional turmoil with the buyers in the market right now because they don't want their mortgage payment to be something astronomical, you know. So there's going to be somewhat of a shift in the conversations, more so a shift in the market. And that's what's going to bring the shift in the market.
Yeah, and
in my
it's
opinion.
coming for sure. You know, everyone's talking, you know, early recession indicators are there, like we're going to hit one. And I honestly think that it's healthy, you know, because this cannot be sustained. It's madness. You can't get 10% appreciation every year. Sure, wages have gone up, but I'm pretty sure wages have not surpassed inflation anyway. So it's like yeah, you're getting a raise, but really,
Are you?
Yeah, exactly. You're not really getting one. So there's just, I mean, it's a whole other conversation of like wealth imbalance and, you know, who ended up really making all the money the past 2 years. It's,
Right.
you know, whether it's conspiracy or true, whatever. It's, you know, a lot of that money didn't go to the American people despite the stimulus.
Of course.
So we'll see, but I don't think we're going to hit a crash. I just think price growth is going to stagnate, but everyone is, not everyone, I would say this, the buyers currently are hoping for a similar crash to 2008.
Yes.
Which I looked at this chart. I got to make a TikTok about this. I've been meaning to do it for weeks. There is this chart that shows home price appreciation over the past 70 years.
Okay.
And there's only been one time where prices have decreased, and that was 2008. Right? Otherwise, it's been slow. It's either been stagnant or it's gone up.
Right.
So real estate overall, it's true that prices do go up. And don't get me wrong, like prices could fall. There could be a crash, but it will not be caused by people's inability to pay because they were qualified for mortgages incorrectly. Like everyone that's bought a home in the past 10 to 15 years has been qualified correctly.
If anything, I know I hear a lot of other professionals speak about the idea of the, during COVID, people they didn't have to pay their mortgage. What was it called again?
Forbearance.
The forbearance. So a lot of people did the forbearance and they weren't aware that they were going to have to modify and, what that would do to their mortgage payment, how that would affect them, and who knows what they were doing with the money while they were in forbearance. So those things could be potentially harmful.
Yeah.
Maybe some foreclosures, I don't know. I pray for everyone and their families, but at the end of the day, that might open up for some of these investors that are looking for distressed sellers and distressed properties.
Well, I did see this statistic. It was a long time ago, so I don't know how accurate it is now. But at the time, only 0.5% of the people that went into forbearance weren't able to continue to pay. So, which is a very, very low number. I'm sure it's thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, but that's nationwide, right? So it's not a tremendous amount, but I do think as well, like maybe some investors, because I think there are close to 300,000 plus pending evictions in New York.
Yes.
Which is a crazy number. And to be candid, a lot of it is just because renters don't feel like paying. They're working, they're fine, but they know that they can get away with it. So they're choosing not to pay, but now they're going to face eviction, and it's going to be very, very challenging for them. Yeah, so I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know if it's going to result in foreclosures. It may if the landlords can't get them out. But we'll see, because again, investors, people that we know ourselves, we would love to make some smart investments, but I don't see it happening unless there's some type of external cause that causes like mass layoffs and people not being able to pay. But I can't foresee what that would be. What do you think?
Well, I've had buyers that have completely lost jobs during COVID. They had to be laid off. Their company was running out of money, but then
But the job market's freaking amazing, so they picked something up in a week.
Exactly, something had to pick up. I really don't know. I tell a lot of my clients, listen, I'm a realtor. I can look at the statistics, but I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
And going back to what
actually, that's not true. We have our heads, man.
There you go. The Ball Brothers Unite.
The Ball Brothers Unite. Shout out to Sean Waller. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I was waiting for you to bring that one up, man. But I think we're living in a crazy time. I think it could be productive depending on how you look at it, depending on what steps you take to capitalize on it, and that's pretty much with everything.
That's true. Because at the end of the day, we can't control what's going to happen. We can just kind of control how we respond to it, which is a stoic philosophy, which I'm a fan of. And that's just kind of life. But where do you see, other than potential foreclosures, how do you think the business is going to evolve or adapt over the next couple of years? And what specifically, Matthew, are you doing as well to stay on top of your game?
Well, staying on top of my game, just basically just constantly looking for more business.
Nice.
Constantly looking for more business. So, like I said, on the seller side, right now is an excellent time to sell.
It is.
Just informing the public, informing the residents, whoever's looking to sell and relocate out of New York State. I come across a lot of those, especially within the Hempstead area. As you know, I service mainly Hempstead, North Babylon, Deer Park. And in those areas, a lot of people are really looking to relocate. You have the older folks that may be retired and they're looking to get to North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, North
I was going to say,
Florida.
so a lot of out-of-state retirements.
Yes.
I feel like we're going to see a lot of that over the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, we have been.
Yeah, a lot of the boomers, they're out.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is that most millennials who I feel like, I saw another stat, I think millennials are like 40% of the home buyers now,
Mm-hmm.
which is a significant amount. But because New York is a difficult place to save money and buy, it's like, they do it at a later time in their life.
Got it.
So I find like out of state, a lot of people buy homes in their 20s and their early 30s. In New York, I find it to be maybe 5 to 10 years older than the out of state because it takes more time. Unless you've got help from family,
Yep.
gifting you money, it's very difficult to save money here, even if you make a lot of money, because the cost of living is just, it's very high.
And then there's just the education factor. We come across a lot of people who might have been saving to buy a home for the past 5 to 6 years. But all along they could have did it 3 years ago. They just were afraid to take those steps.
And the scary thing is that the appreciation outpaced their ability to save.
That's it.
So yeah, they've been saving for 3 years for what? And then it's the same thing, which is why, like, I don't say that people should just buy real estate for the sake of it, right? But you should, if you're in a situation where you're renting, you're better off buying sooner rather than later, even if rates are high, because rates over time go up and down, up and down.
Yes,
they can always refinance down the line and lower their rate, lower their payments, get rid of the mortgage insurance. The one myth that we absolutely hate is, I'm not going to buy until I have 20% down.
Yes.
Like, people don't realize how cheap mortgage insurance is and how easy it is to actually get rid of it, because if the value of the home increases, you can get an appraisal done and the servicer can remove the mortgage insurance.
Exactly.
So it's like, for what? Like, to save $2,000 maybe,
If that, the thing is, like I said, education, and that's our jobs. When you make your videos, you're educating your potential clientele, your consumers, on what could possibly be done now. You don't have to wait. Don't be afraid. Take the step. Call me. Let's sit down and talk about what your needs and your wants are. And what do you have now? I've sat down with people, I have $40,000. I don't think that's enough. Well, that's your down payment and closing costs right there, buddy.
Yeah.
And they may hear about how difficult the market is. Well, guess what? I have a network of investors that might have off the market properties. So we can work some things out. It's just a matter of having that conversation. If you keep your goals to yourself, the professionals will never know. It's just the same as not being diagnosed with a sore throat. You got to go to the doctor.
That's a good point. It's a really good point. But some people are probably, it's intimidating, but I think like that's how we connect with people, through meeting them through social media, to make them feel comfortable enough to reach out to us.
Exactly.
Because it's like, from their perspective, realtors, mortgage people, it's like they know the business, they're sharp, and it's like, if I reach out to this person,
I'm going to look stupid.
Like, yeah, exactly. And no one looks stupid, right? We do this every single day, which is why we know what we know. But, as a consumer, like, don't expect to know everything. That's what we're here for.
Exactly. Allow me to guide you into the right place to help you make an informed decision on your purchase or sale.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
So I'm smiling because the way your tonality was just there,
What?
it was very Jay-Z. It was, allow me to reintroduce myself. Like, that's immediately what came to my head. Sorry.
Listen, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I break out in song, and my girl was like, where did that come from? I don't know. How did you get that in your head? I'm like, you just said it. You didn't know it.
It's all in the tonality. Okay, man. So any final thoughts, things that you think the audience should know, or that you'd like them to know about you, or not even just about you, but just like your approach in the market, the business in general?
Well, my goal with working with any client, whether it be buyer or seller, at the end of the day, is for you to adopt me and become a part of your family. That's how happy I want you to be in your transaction. And that's why I refer people like Ben and Adi to where you're going to get a certain level of service, a certain level of communication where you can gladly, with a smile, recommend our services to anyone else. I don't feed my daughter with one check. I feed her with referral business. And, you're working with a person who you're going to feel like was at the Spades game years ago, or, playing cornhole with you back in the days. I want that familiarity. Integrity is the name of the game.
Yeah, and knowing you've known each other for quite a while now,
Yes.
I can say that is accurate. You carry yourself with integrity. You do the right thing.
Thank you.
Which is truth be told, it's another conversation, but it's just a more efficient way of living. We know a lot of, sharky people in the business who don't carry themselves that way, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. So, Matthew, where can people find you? How do people contact you? What's your preferred method?
Look me up on Instagram, Your True Indeed Realtor or True Indeed Realtor. My phone number is 516-477-4062. Email address, matthewmartin@kw.com. And I'm here to serve your needs and answer all your questions.
Boom, in your face.
There it is.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks, bro.
Thank you.